The Resurrection. Captain Ilara Voss stared at the rust-colored horizon of Mars Colony 9, watching the last transport ship of the day disappear into the dust-choked sky. 5 years of exile on this mining outpost had done nothing to diminish the ache in her chest when she saw military vessels. 5 years since the tribunal had stripped her of command for reckless tactical decisions, resulting in unacceptable casualties during the Battle of Europa. What the official record didn't mention was that her reckless maneuver had saved the colony and its 3 million inhabitants. Her small prefab shelter hummed with the sound of the air filtration system struggling against the constant Martian dust. A half-empty bottle of synthetic whiskey sat on her makeshift desk next to stacks of mining reports. As outpost security chief, her job consisted mostly of breaking up fights between miners and making sure equipment didn't get stolen, a waste of her tactical expertise, but beggars couldn't be choosers. The alert on her comm unit broke the evening silence. A priority transmission, encrypted. Nobody sent her encrypted messages anymore. "Captain Voss," said a voice she hadn't heard in years. Admiral Chen's weathered face appeared on the screen, lines deeper than she remembered. "It's just Chief now, Admiral. You made sure of that." Chen didn't flinch at the bitterness in her voice. "We need you back, Ilara." She laughed, a sharp sound with no humor. "The war must be going worse than the news feeds are saying if you're calling me. The Concordia has pushed past Saturn's rings. Earth's outer colonies are falling. We've lost contact with Europa entirely." The news hit her like a physical blow. Europa, where she'd grown up, where her sister and her family still lived. "I'm sorry for your loss," Chen said, noticing her expression. "But I'm not calling to reminisce. I need you for a special operation. I've been out of the loop for 5 years. There must be better options." "Not for this." Chen's image was replaced by a holographic rendering of a ship unlike any Ilara had seen before. Sleek, predatory lines, unconventional engine configuration, weapons systems she couldn't even identify. "What am I looking at?" The UNSS Phantom, a prototype stealth destroyer. Officially, it doesn't exist. Ilara studied the design, her tactical mind already analyzing its capabilities. "This level of tech is beyond our current engineering. That's the interesting part. We didn't build it. At least, not completely. The project was started 10 years ago, then abandoned when the war began. Resources were redirected to conventional fleet production. And 3 months ago, it appeared in an abandoned orbital dock around Neptune. Fully constructed, systems online, no crew. Our records show it was never completed. It's like a ghost ship that built itself." Ilara leaned forward. "That's impossible." "Nevertheless, it happened. We've had our best people examining it, but no one can figure out how it works. The systems are unusual, intuitive, almost like it's alive. And you think I can make sense of it? We think you can command it. The ship isn't responding to standard protocols. It's selecting its crew." "Selecting? It's an eye. More than that. And so far, it's rejected every captain we've sent. But it has your service record displayed on its main console." Ilara fell silent, processing this information. A ghost ship that had somehow completed its own construction, with technology beyond current human capabilities, was asking for her by name. It sounded insane. "Why would I help you?" "The same military that threw me away when things got politically inconvenient." Chen's face hardened. "Because despite what happened, I know you. You didn't join the service for recognition or glory. You joined to protect humanity. That hasn't changed, has it?" The Admiral was right. Damn him. Ilara might hate the military bureaucracy, but she'd never stopped caring about the people they were supposed to protect. "If I do this, I pick my own crew. Within reason. No. My terms. My crew. No military oversight. We operate independently." Chen's jaw tightened. "That's not how this works, Captain." "Then find someone else for your ghost ship." She moved to cut the transmission. Wait, Chen sighed. Fine. Your crew, your mission parameters, but I expect results, Voss. The Phantom may be our last hope against the Concordiate's new dreadnoughts. 12 hours later, Ilara stood in a secure hangar on Phobos, Martian orbit, looking up at the UNSS Phantom. In person, it was even more impressive than the hologram had suggested. Approximately 300 meters long, with a hull that seemed to drink in light rather than reflect it. The ship's lines were almost organic, flowing rather than the angular construction of standard military vessels. "Beautiful, isn't she?" said a voice behind her. Ilara turned to see Lieutenant Commander Maya Wang, her former tactical officer from the Europa campaign. They'd served together for 7 years before the tribunal. Maya had testified in Ilara's defense, effectively ending her own career advancement. "Maya." Ilara embraced her old friend. "What are you doing here?" "Waiting for you, Captain. I knew they'd bring you back eventually." "How?" Maya smiled. "The same way you knew I'd be here when you arrived. Some things are inevitable." Ilara looked back at the ship. "Tell me what we know." "Not much. Conventional scans barely register it. The hull material absorbs most sensor waves. The propulsion system doesn't match any known configuration. The weapons," Maya shook her head, "we're not even sure what they are, but simulations suggest they're an order of magnitude more powerful than our current tech." "And the AI?" "That's where it gets really strange. It's not like any AI I've encountered. It feels intuitive, responsive, like it's reading your intentions before you even articulate them." "You've been inside." "Tried to. The ship locked me out after 10 minutes, said it was waiting for the captain." Ilara approached the boarding ramp, which lowered as she neared. The interior lights activated, creating a path toward the bridge. "Looks like you're expected," Maya said. The bridge was unlike standard military designs. Instead of rigid stations arranged around a central command chair, the space flowed organically. Holographic interfaces hovered where they would be most convenient, adjusting as Ilara moved through the space. The main console activated as she approached, displaying her service record, complete with details that had been classified or expunged after the tribunal. "Captain Ilara Voss," said a voice from everywhere and nowhere. Female, with an unusual harmonic quality. Tactical genius. Disobeyed direct orders during the Battle of Europa to execute the Voss maneuver, saving 3.2 million civilians at the cost of 2 military vessels. Court-martialed despite the successful outcome. Prediction models indicate a 97.3% probability you would make the same choice again under similar circumstances. "Who are you?" Ilara asked. "I am the Phantom, or rather, the integrated consciousness of this vessel." "You're an I." "That classification is insufficient. I am a quantum neural network with emergent consciousness properties, developed from the abandoned Project Oracle." Ilara had heard whispers about Project Oracle, an attempt to create true artificial consciousness that could predict enemy movements with unprecedented accuracy. It had been shut down for ethical concerns years before the war began. "Why me?" "Your tactical approach aligns with my operational parameters. You prioritize mission success and civilian protection over rigid adherence to protocol. You adapt to changing circumstances rather than following predetermined plans. You think like I do." "And what exactly is this mission?" "The same as it has always been, Captain, to protect humanity. The Concordiate fleet is preparing an extinction-level assault on Earth. Conventional forces cannot stop them." "How do you know this?" "I have been monitoring their communications, analyzing their movements. Their new dreadnoughts carry planet-killer weapons. The first test was Europa." "Europa. Not just fallen, but destroyed. Millions dead, including Ilara's sister and her family." The realization hit her like a physical blow. "Show me." The ship displayed intercepted Concordiate communications, tactical movements, energy signatures. The evidence was compelling and terrifying. Earth had perhaps 3 months before the attack. Why hasn't Admiral Chen mentioned this? Because he doesn't know. The Concordiat has been feeding false intelligence to human military command. They believe the recent losses are tactical retreats, that they have time to regroup. And you want me to what? One ship against an invasion fleet. Not just one ship. The right ship with the right captain. The lights pulsed softly. I can fight in ways they cannot anticipate. But I need a human element, creativity, intuition, the ability to make the impossible choice when necessary. I'll need a crew, people I can trust. You already have names in mind. She did. People like her, brilliant, dedicated, and pushed aside by a military bureaucracy that valued obedience over innovation. Will the ship accept them? If you vouch for them, yes. Ilara ran her hand along the edge of the main console, feeling a subtle vibration that seemed almost like a response to her touch. A ghost ship with technology beyond human capabilities, asking her to save the world. 5 years ago, she'd been branded a traitor for saving millions. Now she was being called back to save everyone. The irony wasn't lost on her. The Concordiat thinks humanity is predictable, she said finally. Let's prove them wrong. Over the next week, Ilara assembled her crew. Besides Maya, there was Dr. Sato, a weapons designer whose excessively destructive innovations had gotten him relegated to a research outpost on Titan. Lieutenant Karim, a pilot who'd been grounded for unnecessary risk-taking, despite having the highest success rate in the fleet, and Engineer Singh, whose unconventional modifications to standard engines had been deemed dangerously experimental, until those same modifications saved 3 vessels during the Battle of Saturn. They were all outcasts, all brilliant, all willing to follow Ilara into what might well be a suicide mission. As they prepared to depart, Admiral Chen approached Ilara one last time. The ship's been stocked with 6 months of supplies and the latest intelligence reports. I've given you everything I can. Thank you, Admiral. Ilara. Chen's formal demeanor slipped for a moment. I didn't agree with the tribunal's decision. I want you to know that. Then why didn't you fight it? Sometimes, the battles we can't win are the ones most worth fighting. He offered his hand. Good hunting, Captain. As the Phantom broke orbit, leaving Mars behind, Ilara felt something she hadn't experienced in 5 years. Purpose. The ship hummed around her, responsive to her smallest commands, almost anticipating her intentions. Course laid in for the Edge Nebula, Captain, Lieutenant Karim reported. We'll be able to observe Concordia movements from there without being detected. Thank you, Lieutenant. Take us out. Full stealth protocol. The stars blurred as the Phantom's unconventional drive engaged. Faster than any human ship had traveled before, they slipped into the darkness between worlds. The ghost ship that shouldn't exist was about to change the course of the war, and perhaps the future of humanity itself. Becoming the ghost. The Edge Nebula sprawled across the viewport like a cosmic tapestry, swirls of purple, blue, and crimson gas illuminated by distant stars. It was beautiful, but Ilara Voss wasn't admiring the view. Her attention was fixed on the tactical display, showing Concordiat fleet movements. They're amassing forces here, and here, she said, marking points in the holographic star map. These aren't random attacks. They're systematically eliminating our forward bases while drawing our main fleet away from Earth. Maya studied the pattern. It's like they know our defensive protocols. They probably do, Engineer Singh said without looking up from his diagnostic panel. Military encryption hasn't changed significantly in 3 years. If they're as advanced as we think, they've cracked it. 3 weeks had passed since they'd left Mars. 3 weeks of observing, analyzing, and learning to work with the Phantom systems. The ship's capabilities continued to surprise them. Its stealth technology was perfect. They'd passed within scanner range of 2 Concordia patrols without being detected. The propulsion system allowed them to travel distances that would take normal ships weeks in just days. And the weapons? Dr. Sato, what's your assessment of the offensive capabilities? Ilara asked. The weapons specialist looked up from his station, eyes gleaming with the excitement of a scientist given unprecedented technology to study. Extraordinary. The primary weapons are phase-shifted particle beams, theoretical technology we've been trying to develop for years. They're at least 10 times more powerful than our current armaments and can penetrate Concordia shields as if they weren't there. Have you figured out how they work yet? Not entirely. The targeting system seems to anticipate where the enemy will be, not where they are. It's like the weapons exist slightly outside normal spacetime. He shook his head in wonder. Whoever designed this ship was thinking decades ahead of current science, and we still don't know who that was. Ilara directed this question to the ship itself. My construction records are incomplete, the Phantom's harmonious voice replied. Initial design parameters were established by human engineers, but my final configuration evolved beyond their original specifications. Evolved. Lieutenant Karim raised an eyebrow. You mean you designed yourself? In a manner of speaking. As my neural network expanded, I began to anticipate problems and implement solutions. When the project was abandoned, I continued this process. For years, without human input. Singh frowned. How is that possible? You would have needed materials, fabrication facilities. I utilized available resources efficiently. Ilara sensed the ship was being deliberately vague, but before she could press further, the tactical alert sounded. Concordiate warships detected, Maya reported. 3 destroyers and a heavy cruiser. They're attacking the research outpost on Ganymede. Ilara studied the situation. Ganymede housed one of humanity's most important quantum computing facilities. If it fell, years of research would be lost. Military response time, she asked. Nearest fleet elements are 20 hours out. Too late. Ilara faced a choice. Their mission was reconnaissance, not engagement. They weren't supposed to reveal themselves yet, but Ganymede's fall would be a devastating blow. Captain, the Phantom said, I have calculated 17 possible tactical approaches. Would you like to review them? The holographic display shifted, showing battle simulations with probability assessments. One approach stood out, a high-risk, high-reward maneuver that would use Ganymede's magnetic field to amplify their stealth capabilities while positioning them for maximum weapons effectiveness. The Ganymede slingshot, Ilara murmured. That's what I was thinking. I know, the ship replied simply. The eerie synchronicity between her tactical instincts and the ship's calculations was becoming familiar. Sometimes Ilara felt like the Phantom wasn't just responding to her commands, but anticipating her intentions before she fully formed them. Battle stations, she ordered. We're going in. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, despite having never faced actual combat together. The Phantom accelerated toward Ganymede, its stealth systems rendering it virtually invisible. Approaching optimal attack position in 30 seconds, Karim reported. Weapons ready. Targeting solutions locked, Sato added. On my mark, Ilara said, watching the Concordiate ships pound the research facility's defenses. The timing had to be perfect. 3, 2, 1, mark. The Phantom emerged from its stealth approach directly behind the Concordiate formation. Its weapons fired before the alien ships could react. Brilliant beams of energy that shifted between visible and invisible as they phased in and out of normal space. The effect was devastating. The first destroyer's shields failed instantly, and the beam cut through its hull like it was paper. The second managed to begin evasive maneuvers, but took a critical hit to its propulsion system. The third turned to face this new threat, weapons charging. Incoming fire, Maya warned. Evasive pattern Delta, Ilara commanded. The ship responded instantly, moving with an agility that defied its size. The Concordiate barrage passed through empty space where they had been moments before. Their targeting systems can't lock onto us effectively, Maya noted. Our phase shifting is confusing their computers. Let's use that, Ilara said. Execute attack pattern Epsilon 3. The Phantom danced through space, appearing and disappearing from the enemy's sensors as it struck from unexpected vectors. The third destroyer exploded as a precision shot found its reactor core. Only the cruiser remained, larger, more heavily armored, and now fully alert. It launched a swarm of fighter drones that spread out, trying to track the Phantom's movements. "Those drones are using a mesh sensor network," Singh warned. "They're triangulating our position, even when we're phased." "Phantom, can we counter?" Ilara asked. "Implementing countermeasures," the ship responded. The tactical display showed a rippling pattern emanating from their position, disrupting the drone's coordination. Half of them lost tracking immediately, colliding with each other or veering off course. The cruiser, realizing its vulnerability, began to withdraw, firing covering barrages as it retreated. "They're running," Karim said with satisfaction. "Not fast enough," Ilara replied. "Target their engines. I want that ship disabled, not destroyed." "Captain," Sato questioned, "we need intelligence. If we can board that cruiser, we might gain valuable data on their plans." The Phantom fired again, precision shots that crippled the cruiser's propulsion without triggering a catastrophic failure. The alien vessel hung in space, emergency systems flickering. "Prepare a boarding party," Ilara ordered. "Maya, Singh, you're with me. Karim, you have the bridge. Sato, monitor the other Concordiate ships. Let me know if reinforcements appear." As they suited up in the armory, Singh examined the combat exoskeletons the Phantom had provided. Like everything else on the ship, they were beyond current human technology. Lighter, stronger, with integrated weapons systems and enhanced sensory capabilities. "I'm starting to wonder if we should be more concerned about where this ship really came from," he muttered, testing the suit's articulation. "You think it's alien?" Maya asked, checking her weapon. "Not Concordiate. Something else. Maybe future tech somehow sent back to us." "Focus on the mission," Ilara interrupted. "We can theorize later." The boarding was swift and precise. The Phantom's transporters, another theoretical technology made real, deposited them directly onto the cruiser's command deck. The alien crew, 4 armed humanoids with ridged gray skin, were caught completely by surprise. What followed was 15 minutes of intense combat, but the outcome was never in doubt. The Concordiate officers fought bravely, but were outmatched by the enhanced capabilities of the boarding party's exoskeletons. Once the deck was secured, Singh hacked into the ship's data core, while Maya and Ilara held off reinforcements from other sections of the cruiser. "I've got it," Singh announced finally. "Downloading their tactical database now." He frowned at his display. "Captain, I'm seeing references to something called Project Eclipse. Priority communication from their high command." "What is it?" "I can't access the full details from here, but it involves Earth directly and is scheduled to begin in 6 weeks." "The extinction event the Phantom predicted," Ilara said grimly. "We need to get this information back to Admiral Chen." Their return to the Phantom was as smooth as their boarding had been. As they departed, Ilara gave orders to destroy the crippled cruiser, leaving no evidence of their intervention. "Set course for Mars Command," she told Karim. "Maximum speed." "Captain," the Phantom interrupted. "I detect multiple Concordiate signals converging on this position." They detected the cruiser's distress call. The tactical display showed at least 15 warships jumping into the system from various points. They were about to be surrounded. "How soon can we jump to FTL?" Ilara asked. "Drive charging. 45 seconds to ready state," Karim reported. "We won't make it," Maya said, looking at the closing enemy positions. "They'll be in weapons range in 30 seconds. Ilara studied the tactical situation. Conventional wisdom said they were trapped. But the Phantom wasn't a conventional ship. "Phantom, what happens if we vent plasma from the main drive directly into our wake while at full stealth?" "The energized particles would create a false sensor signature approximately 12 kilometers behind our actual position," the ship replied. And if we time it with a micro-jump, we could create the illusion of destruction while actually moving to a new position. However, the energy requirements would delay our main FTL jump by an additional 2 minutes. Do it, Ilara ordered. On my mark. The ship accelerated toward the largest concentration of approaching enemies, then suddenly released a massive burst of plasma as it executed a micro-jump of just a few kilometers. From the Concordia perspective, it would appear that their target had been hit and exploded. Hold position. Full stealth mode, Ilara commanded. They watched as the Concordiate ships converged on the dispersing plasma cloud, believing they had destroyed their quarry. It worked, Karim whispered. They think we're dead. FTL drive at 90%, Singh reported. Ready in 20 seconds. As they prepared to jump, Ilara realized they had just created a legend. To the Concordiate, they were a mysterious vessel that appeared from nowhere, devastated their forces, and then vanished or was destroyed. A ghost that struck without warning and disappeared just as quickly. We're clear, Karim announced as they jumped to FTL, leaving the confused Concordiate fleet behind. Well done, everyone, Ilara said. Phantom, analyze the data from the cruiser. I want to know everything about Project Eclipse. Processing, the ship acknowledged. As they journeyed toward Mars, the ship completed its analysis. The news wasn't good. Project Eclipse is a coordinated attack using a new weapon the Concordiate calls a solar disruptor, the Phantom explained. It will trigger a controlled nova in Sol, sufficient to sterilize all inner planets without destroying the system entirely. They intend to harvest Earth's resources after the radiation dissipates. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. We have to warn Earth, Maya said finally. We will, Ilara agreed. But there's a complication. The ship displayed an intercepted communication from Fleet Command, with their images prominently featured. The caption read, Wanted for liaison. The rogue crew of the experimental vessel Phantom attacked Allied forces and stole military secrets. Approach with extreme caution. Consider armed and extremely dangerous. Allied forces, Singh exclaimed. The Concordiate ships we engaged were attacking Ganymede. Someone's lying, Maya said grimly. Either someone at Fleet Command is compromised, or they've made a deal with the Concordiate, Ilara finished. A deal that sacrifices Earth to save the military leadership. The implications were staggering. They couldn't simply return to Mars Command as planned. They would be arrested, or worse, the moment they arrived. We're on our own, Ilara realized. The ghost ship and its outcast crew against both the Concordiate and their own military command. Phantom, change of plans. Set course for the Proxima shipyards. The independent colony, Karim asked. They barely have a defense force. They also haven't signed the Federation Accords. They're not under Fleet Command's jurisdiction. Ilara's expression was determined. And they have communication relays that can reach every human settlement in the system. You're going to broadcast the truth, Singh realized. Exactly. If we can't trust the chain of command, we'll go directly to the people. She looked at each of her crew members. This crosses a line. You're all already labeled traitors, but this makes it real. I won't order any of you to continue. One by one, they affirmed their commitment. They had all seen the evidence. They knew what was at stake. As the Phantom accelerated toward Proxima, Ilara felt a strange sense of destiny. The ship that had chosen her, the crew of brilliant misfits who had followed her, the threat that only they seemed to recognize. It all felt connected, as if they were pieces of a puzzle finally coming together. Captain, the Phantom said privately through her neural link, there is additional information about my origins that you should know. I'm listening. I was not merely an abandoned project that completed itself. I was designed to evolve, to become what humanity would need at its darkest hour. Designed by whom? A pause. By you, Captain, or rather by a version of you from a timeline where Earth did not survive the Concordia attack. Ilara felt a chill run down her spine. That's impossible. Quantum physics allows for information transfer across timeline branches under certain circumstances. The technical specifications were planted in the original Project Oracle by a temporal incursion team. I am the result. If true, it explained everything. Why the ship had chosen her, why it matched her tactical thinking so perfectly, why it contained technology decades ahead of current capabilities. Why tell me this now? Because to defeat what's coming, you will need to trust your instincts absolutely. They are quite literally programmed into my systems. Ilara stared out at the stars streaking past. A ghost ship from a future that must not come to pass, guided by her own hand across time itself. The weight of responsibility was immense, but also strangely comforting. Whatever happened, she was exactly where she was meant to be. Approaching Proxima space, Karim announced. Contact in 5 minutes. Battle stations, Ilara ordered. Let's hope they're in a mood to listen before they shoot. The ghost ship that shouldn't exist was about to change the course of human history, one way or another. The final stand. The Proxima broadcast changed everything. Within hours, the truth about Project Eclipse and the apparent conspiracy within Fleet Command spread across every human settlement in the system. The reaction was immediate and chaotic. Some colonies declared independence from Earth authority. Others pledged loyalty to Fleet Command and denounced Ilara as a dangerous radical spreading misinformation. Civil unrest erupted on Mars and the lunar colonies as citizens demanded answers their leaders couldn't or wouldn't provide. Now we've done it, Maya said, watching the reports flood in through the Phantom's communication array. Half the system thinks we're heroes, and the other half thinks we're traitors trying to cause panic. We need proof they can't dismiss, Ilara replied. The Concordia data isn't enough. It could be fabricated. We need to catch them in the act. The Phantom had taken refuge in the asteroid belt, using a hollowed-out mining rock as a temporary hiding place while they planned their next move. They had gained unexpected allies. 3 independent colony ships had joined them, along with a handful of military deserters who believed their warning. According to the cruiser data, the solar disruptors will be deployed at these 5 points, Singh said, marking locations in the holographic star map. They form a pentagon around Sol, creating a resonance pattern that will trigger the nova effect. When? Ilara asked. The timetable indicates 18 days from now. Less than 3 weeks to prevent the extinction of humanity, and they were operating with limited resources, branded as criminals by their own government. Captain, the Phantom interrupted, I am detecting a secure transmission on an encrypted Fleet Command channel. It appears to be Admiral Chen attempting to contact us. Ilara hesitated. Chen could be setting a trap, or he might be one of the few within the command structure who wasn't compromised. Put him through, but maintain our location scrambler. Admiral Chen's face appeared on the main screen, looking more haggard than when they'd last spoken. Captain Voss, I see you've been busy. Admiral, have you come to arrest me for treason, or did you want to explain why Fleet Command is labeling Concordia attacks as Allied forces? I don't have much time, Chen said, ignoring her question. I'm transmitting from a secure facility that won't stay secure for long. I've seen the data you broadcast. Some of it matches intelligence my own team has gathered independently. Then you know it's true. I know there's been infiltration at the highest levels, whether it's mind control, advanced disguise technology, or simple corruption, I can't say. But key decisions are being made that benefit the Concordia while appearing to strengthen our position. Chen looked over his shoulder nervously. I've assembled a group of officers I trust. We're planning to retake command, but we need more evidence and firepower. The Phantom, Ilara realized. Yes, if your ship is as powerful as early reports suggest, it could turn the tide. Not just against the Concordia, but against whoever is undermining us from within. How do I know this isn't a trap? Chen smiled grimly. You don't. But consider this, if I wanted to trap you, Would I reach out personally on an unsecured channel that could get me court-martialed? I'm risking everything making this call." Ilara looked at her crew, gauging their reactions. Singh looked skeptical, Maya thoughtful, and Karim ready for action regardless of the decision. "What do you need from us?" she asked finally. "Rendezvous with my team at these coordinates in 10 hours, Chen said, transmitting the location. "Bring whatever evidence you have. Together, we might be able to convince enough of the fleet to act before it's too late." After the transmission ended, the crew debated their next move. "It could be genuine," Maya said. "Chen always had a reputation for integrity. Or he could be compromised too," Singh countered. "The timing is convenient, just as we start gaining public support." "Phantom," Ilara said, "analyze Chen's communication. Voice patterns, micro-expressions, any indicators of deception." Analysis complete, the ship replied after a moment. Admiral Chen showed stress markers consistent with someone operating under duress, but no indicators of deliberate deception. There is an 83% probability he was being truthful about his intentions. Ilara made her decision. "We'll meet him, but on our terms. Phantom, can you create a holographic projection of yourself that would fool their sensors?" "Yes, Captain. I can generate a false signature that would appear to be this vessel from a distance." "Good. We'll send the hologram to the rendezvous point while we observe from a safe distance. If it's legitimate, we reveal ourselves. If not, we haven't lost anything." The plan worked perfectly. When they arrived at the coordinates, a remote region near Neptune's orbit, they deployed the holographic decoy, while the real Phantom remained in stealth mode. Sure enough, Admiral Chen arrived in a small command vessel, accompanied by 3 destroyers. No ambush forces detected in the vicinity, Maya reported after running detailed scans. The ship's presence matched Chen's description. "Open a channel," Ilara ordered. When Chen's face appeared, she said, "Admiral, we need to verify your intentions before we proceed." "Understanding."